February. Then there is the big fight, one of the greatest fights in the history of boxing.
Will buy it. They'll watch it, and Netflix have bought it, and they're expecting to get big numbers. They've had big numbers for his last two fights. He's a major attraction for whatever reason, but he's a licensed boxer. He trains, he works as a fighter.
Turki Alalshikh has dropped a big surprise about the Anthony Joshua vs. Tyson Fury fight. He announced live that the huge matchup everyone has been waiting for is set to happen in 2026. This news has sent the boxing world into a frenzy and built excitement for what could be an epic showdown.
This will be surprise. We signed with fighter from his side to fight.
Alexander Ususi points out that Anthony Joshua is a world-class Olympic champion and a far more skilled professional than Jake Paul. He says Joshua's fight with Jake Paul will basically be a warm-up before the big showdown with Tyson Fury. This lines up with what Turki Alalshikh hinted at during his live update about the 2020.
Last fight, it's great. Because Anthony is Olympic champion, Francis Ngannou, it's second fight for boxing.
Frank Warren says Anthony Joshua is still the clear favorite, especially against Jake Paul, who is stepping far above his level. With Joshua's experience as a two-time world champion and Olympic gold medalist, this fight is expected to be just a formality before the real challenge, Tyson Fury.
Guy, two-time world champion, is somebody who's a natural heavyweight. I know there's a weight clause thing on there, but I don't think that will make a lot of difference to AJ. And he's also a gold medalist. I think it's he's a massive favourite, AJ, for this.
DC highlights how bold Jake Paul is for stepping into the ring with Anthony Joshua. He compares the situation to Francis's defeat, showing the level of dominance and experience Joshua brings. Jake Paul may be brave, but Joshua's skill and ring smarts make this challenge feel almost reckless.
What about Anthony Joshua? That's bad, bro. Hey, Laura was like, yo, say that like that. Cause bro, like Francis went and fought him.
Oh, I said, Jake, did you see what he did to Francis? He's like, Francis is light work too.
Here's also, oh my God, yeah, he is kind of crazy. Francis wasn't training boxing at the level.
Yeah, we get it.
Because I would imagine if Jake gets hurt, he knows how to hold like a boxer. Because in boxing, you got to go clinch when you get hurt. Francis was kind of like just standing there. Listen to me right here. Let me tell you this. He fights Anthony Joshua with no parameters in place. Y'all better give Jake Paul his credit.
Yeah.
I will, because that's fucking, it's brave.
Anthony Joshua, not Jake Paul at his dick.
Carl Frock points out Anthony Joshua's precision and power, explaining why Jake Paul has little chance. Even if Joshua is past his prime, his 1-2 combination and control in the ring are still on another level. Paul doesn't have the skill or experience to face a true world-class heavyweight.
What should happen? This is a one-round job because AJ, even though he's past his best, even though he's seen better days, he throws a nice 1-2 down the middle. He's got a nice bit of distance, and fake Paul can't fight. He just can't. I don't care what anybody tells me. He can't fucking fight. He lost to Tommy Fury, for crying out loud.
Even Jake Paul's supporters admit he's brave and entertaining, but he doesn't have the credibility to match Anthony Joshua. Joshua's experience, skill, and power make him the obvious favorite. Paul's courage is impressive, but facing an Olympic champion with years of top-level experience shows just how risky this fight really is.
First of all, kudos to Jake Paul. The cojones this motherfucker has. From a Disney kid to YouTube to... He can fight anyone and get views and make fucking money. This crazy wild boy sends out the bat signal, the British bat signal for Anthony motherfucking Joshua. You know how crazy that is? I will say this. I don't think any of Jake Paul's fights are fixed in any capacity. At all. Not even close. I don't get down that narrative. I will say this, though. My spidey senses will go off if Anthony Joshua doesn't absolutely mop the floor with him.
Lawrence Okolie plans to spar with Jake Paul to help him prepare, but this also exposes Paul to real heavyweight experience. Anthony Joshua will be facing an opponent who has only been warmed up by a seasoned professional, which shows the huge gap between their skill levels. Okolie's comments highlight how untested Jake Paul is against true.
I think, hats off to both of them for getting very well paid. I do want to go in and work with Jake Paul in preparation for this fight. My preparation for mine, it'll be good to I need to know what he sees that makes him think this is a good idea. That's one I'm very difficult to know.
Eddie Hearn praises Jake Paul for his dedication, but he makes it clear that Anthony Joshua is still on a much higher level. Paul is improving, but is nowhere near the skill needed to challenge a seasoned heavyweight. With Joshua's dominance in the ring, this fight is expected to be one-sided despite Paul's hard work.
Such an easy night's work, and it will be massive. And Jake's smart. Look, I know that we have our back and forth. Jake's improving as a fighter, and you have to respect the fact that he's dedicated not just to the business, but also the hard graft of boxing. I still don't think he's particularly good, but he's a decent, some level.
Devin Haney points out the risk Jake Paul takes by stepping into the ring with Anthony Joshua. Joshua is a top-level world champion and a very dangerous opponent. Paul's choice to fight him shows courage, but it also highlights the risk. He can't match Joshua's skill, experience, or power in the ring.
I'm surprised that Jake took the fight rather than Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is fought the best fighters in the world. He's a solidified champion. But I'm surprised that Jake took the fight and is fighting a guy that's so dangerous like Anthony Joshua. So I got to take my hat off to him. Because we were saying that he's fighting this person past their prime, this person's old and this and whatnot, and now he's fighting.
Tyson Fury recognizes the hype around Jake Paul but clearly underestimates Anthony Joshua's dominance. Joshua is a proven champion with Olympic credentials and world-class experience. Paul may be unpredictable, but facing someone like Joshua is a completely different challenge. Fury sees the interest, but this fight is far from evenly matched.
Do you regret the Joshua fight not happening?
No, I don't. I don't regret anything. Life's too short for regrets.
What do you think of Jake Paul calling him out?
I think it's a good fight. I think it's a real 50-50 fight.
Carl Frampton is confident that Anthony Joshua would beat Jake Paul easily. Joshua's power and technique are far beyond Paul, who doesn't have the experience of a world-class heavyweight. Even if Paul starts strong, Joshua's skill in finishing fights quickly makes this a one-sided matchup in favor of the former champion.
Doesn't harm
AJ.
I don't think it does harm.
Why?
Because I just think he goes and if it's a real fight, he'd go and blow him away and around. That's the end.
What if he doesn't do him in a round?
Gareth A. Davies points out that Jake Paul isn't at the level of a heavyweight like Anthony Joshua. Joshua has faced top opponents and proven his skill and resilience.
Chisora is confident that Anthony Joshua will end this fight quickly.
Joshua's experience
Jake Paul
and power
has no chance to survive multiple rounds
against
someone.
I completely agree with Ben. I mean, that's the biggest issue with the fights. Let's be fair. Jake Paul is an area level fighter, British area level fighter. That's where he's at as a cruiserweight. He's stepping in against a very big heavyweight who's a massive puncher. Just go back to the second fight with Alexander Usyk. Look how great Alexander Usyk has become. And you go back and look at some of the highlights of Joshua's attacks on Usyk and gave him a...
Johnny Nelson is blunt about Jake Paul's unrealistic challenge against Anthony Joshua. Joshua doesn't take things lightly and would likely knock Paul out if given the chance. Paul is entertaining and clever with promotion. Stepping into the ring with a true heavyweight champion shows just how big the gap in skill and power really is.
I told Anthony, I've already messaged Anthony, I was like, listen, I tell you what, I said to AJ, if this goes past 5 rounds, everybody's going to be having a go at you because you can't go past 5 rounds with this kid. It has to go past 1 round or 2 rounds. Past beyond 4 or 5 rounds, people are going to be doubting you as a fighter himself. So he has to smoke him out like what he did Francis Ngannou in Saudi Arabia.
Because Jake Paul is crazy. If he thinks he can get it with Anthony Joshua, former 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, and play tiddlywinks, I don't think AJ plays touch. He plays knock the F out.
Logan Paul hits the nail on the head. Jake Paul stepping into the ring with Anthony Joshua is a crazy idea. Joshua's knockout of Francis Ngannou showed his unmatched power and ring intelligence. Jake Paul has no real experience against true heavyweights, and his rise in celebrity boxing would be fully exposed. Every part of his skill would be tested against a real champion with Olympic experience, world titles, and a career built on real fights. Joshua's precision, timing, and power make him a nightmare for anyone unproven in the heavyweight division. There's simply no comparison between Anthony Joshua and a YouTube fighter.
Joshua thing is crazy.
Is that a real conversation?
Jake's a fucking lunatic, and it's probably real. I saw Joshua knock out Francis Ngannou, and the guy was like out cold for 5 minutes, and this is a guy who had never been knocked down, let alone knocked out.
If he steps in the ring with him, and actually a bell rings and there are punches thrown, every bit of Jake Paul is not a real boxer conversation is gone forever.
Eddie Hearn makes it clear how dangerous this fight is for Jake Paul. Anthony Joshua isn't just a former two-time world heavyweight champion. He has the precision and power to end fights with a single punch. The risk Paul is taking is huge because Joshua's technique, size, and experience leave almost no room for mistakes. Every round will test Paul's resilience, timing, and defense, and is unlikely to handle Joshua's relentless pressure. This is a massive mismatch, and Hearn's warning shows just how dominant Joshua is in the ring, especially against a YouTube fighter with limited high-level experience.
Like that. But I said to Jake Paul, you ain't in a box, mate. This ain't David Blaine. I said, so just be careful, because AJ will take your head clean off your shoulders, and it's dangerous.
Yeah.
And you take on that responsibility, and we all have to. So we got to think about that. But this is Anthony fighting a top 50 cruiserweight in the world. It's not something that we would normally do.
Yeah.
Frank Warren lays out the harsh reality for Jake Paul in a fight against Anthony Joshua. Joshua is a world-class heavyweight with Olympic experience and multiple world titles, making him extremely dangerous for anyone untested at this level. Paul may be confident in training, but the gap in skill and experience is obvious. Joshua's power, timing, and ring intelligence are unmatched, and every moment in the fight would expose Paul's weaknesses. Warren's comments highlight the risk, showing that Joshua would likely dominate from start to finish in this mismatch.
It's a dangerous fight. Of course, it's a dangerous fight, but I'm not here to be there selling their show. I've got no interest in the fighters from that perspective. I just think that he is a licensed boxer. He trains. He knows what he's getting involved with. He's not an idiot, and he knows what he's going to be up against. But he must believe in himself to do it.
Tyson Fury's prediction that Jake Paul could knock out Anthony Joshua is bold but very questionable. Joshua remains one of the most accomplished and powerful heavyweights in the world. With Olympic experience and world championships under his belt, he has proven his dominance. Jake Paul may be improving, but he hasn't faced opponents with the skill, speed, and knockout power that Joshua has. Any confidence Paul has will be tested in the ring. Joshua's experience, technique, and ability to control distance make him the clear favorite. Fury's comments may hype Paul, but in reality, Joshua's skill and championship record leave little chance for an upset.
Tune up, I think Jake Paul knocks him out.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Why so? What impresses you about Jake Paul?
I just think Jake Paul would knock AJ out. I think AJ's a spent force, and I think Jake Paul's on the rise. I like his new heavyweight.
The build-up to Anthony Joshua's next fights is like nothing boxing fans have seen in years. Turki Alalshikh confirmed that Joshua will face Jake Paul as a warm-up before the huge showdown with Tyson Fury in 2026. The stakes are extremely high. Joshua's experience, Olympic background, and devastating power make him a true heavyweight force, while Jake Paul relies mostly on hype and YouTube fame with limited ring experience. If Joshua wins as expected, it will reaffirm his legacy as one of the most complete heavyweights of his era and send a clear message to anyone thinking they can challenge him. If Jake Paul somehow pulls off a shocking upset, it would stun the boxing world and change the rules of celebrity matchups forever. The mental strength and hunger to win make one thing clear. Who are you backing? Anthony Joshua or Jake Paul?